Crabtree was quite busy in answering questions on chat box as well. She was, quite a good way of doing things, actually, having that two-pronged approach. Someone talking, someone answering the questions. Not had that before, so that was really good. Just quickly, I want to bring Richard Farrell in from Netcall. And Richard, you're Chief Innovation Officer at Netcall. Obviously, you've been working with Blackburn with Darwin, I think predominantly around the citizen experience stuff. But as obviously, in this day and age, suppliers and local authorities tend to work in partnership now. Gone are the days when you just sell things and collect your purchase order and leave them with a little box of things to implement. Not that I'm saying Netcall would ever be like that, but what's your view on what Blackburn have been doing, with Darwin have been doing, and I guess the way that they've been using the technology? Because it's quite interesting the sort of cultural impact it's had, especially in sort of the contact centre, where we're seeing now Ross's team being sort of referred to as citizen experience advisors. It's quite possibly a change that's going to happen to the industry, starting from the public sector for once. What are your thoughts around what they've been up to?
Really, really interesting. From our perspective, more customers like Blackburn with Darwin is a good thing. Customer for more than 10 years, which is a really interesting element. So it's not try and get as much money up front as you can as a supplier and then bugger off. It is about this partnership over a long period of time. I think a couple of things that Blackburn with Darwin have done really, really well is that citizen focus, and therefore that leads on to customer experience advisors rather than a contact center. Also, that means that contact center, or what would be termed traditional contact center technology, and Ross mentioned some of those bits and pieces, voice recording, evaluation, speech recognition, that doesn't just belong in a building that says contact center on the door. That can be anywhere in the organization. And obviously that confers benefits when you get to disasters and so on. It's common platforms, remote working, all of those good things. So I think that citizen focus is really important, and that drives through. One of the other things that I think is really quite special with Blackburn with Darwin is about exploiting the tools that they've got. So Ross in the past has described a wow moment when they've discovered a functionality that they didn't know existed on the platform. And that's, again, something you can have with this partnership and over a long period of time. So it's sweating the asset, but it's also getting the most from it and looking at how you can use these tools in more innovative ways. I think the web assistant and the stats that they're getting from that are fantastic. They are world-class, some of the success rates that they're getting through that. So that's really, really great. And that all sets themselves up for future, with future channels, and also the changing demographics that they've got. We recently had a podcast that we recorded with Ross, and I'd recommend anyone goes towards that on the website. We talk a little bit about the demographics there, but Blackburn with Darwin, nearly 30% of the population is under 20. So when we're talking about new channels, instant messaging, not really having a desire so much for email, well, all of these citizens that are coming up, they don't use email. They're on instant messages, they're on Facebook and so on. So evolution, partnership, exploiting the tools, and just thinking outside of that normal. A contact center is over here, it does contact center work. If you're thinking about customer experience, it's right across the organization.
Excellent. Thank you, Richard. And good to see you. So Ross, are you there?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, yes. So, you had quite a few. Unfortunately, there was no no Laura in the wings. So you've got a few questions to go at. Basically, we've got interested in the changes made to customer service. How are you incentivizing digital inclusion? How's that sort of? Oh no, sorry, I was speaking the wrong ones there. Sorry. Right, hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, so so resource changes in services prior to contact portal rollout. How was transition handled, or was it just absorbed?
It was absorbed, but we also, because we had a sort of a phased approach to budget savings, it was something that we could implement. But then we were delivering savings through natural attrition. So over a 2-year period, we actually reduced the headcount on general inquiries from 4 FTE requirement to now down to 1 FTE or equivalent, but spread across all teams. So yeah, we didn't. We'd planned, like I say, to introduce this technology with a view to it delivering longer term savings.
Excellent. Yeah, then we've got how did staff deal with the change, and how did you how did you communicate those upcoming changes and mitigate disengagement?
Well, we had a gradual program, so we were looking as we were bringing the contact center platform to the rest of the organisation. We were targeting high volume service areas, so we were engaging with them, either myself. Well, it was a combination of myself and Joe's transformation team. So we were looking at what the requirements were for each area. Building the telephone lines, but also from the sort of qualitative and quantitative aspects of it, looking at what activity codes we wanted to put on there, what management information and data did we want to be able to gather for Joe's team to then be able to go back into the business a couple of months later, start analysing some of the data that they had available to them, and started to target specific areas within that service for transformation. So it was an ongoing programme, and we were constantly engaging with those service areas, and we still do today. I think one of the real positives that came out of the lockdown in 2020 was the introduction of Teams. We started using it very early on in lockdown, out of necessity, because we were all home working, and it was a very easy way to communicate and to engage with staff. But what we've now got is essentially it's a Netcall user group on 100. Well, there's I think 180 people that are Netcall. Well, there's actually 500 registered users of our contact center platform, but in any one given day, it's around about 180. It's a forum where they can raise issues, ask questions, ask for support. But we also have a supervisor and management channel where we're pushing out proactive stuff. So some of the stuff that we bring in online now, agent evaluations, satisfaction surveys, things like callbacks, web assistant. We're making people aware of it, putting instructional videos on there. So a lot of it is, it's very much it's organisation focused now. We've got methods and channels where we can engage with different parts of the organisation in different locations very quickly and very easily.
Excellent. And it's sort of Michael, who is asking Paul a question for us, asked how do you ensure through all this change that no one gets left behind? But I guess you using that sort of teams, those various teams channels certainly support that.
And I suppose from a customer's perspective, one of the things that in our early transformation journey, a lot of it was driven through necessity. So we had to make these changes to be able to maintain services and maintain quality services through different ways of dealing with us. But we've now, when Paul joined us, we saw a real change in direction and very much building momentum on that customer journey and starting to introduce things like the stuff that Joe's talking about, user research, customer engagement, customer insight. So it's ever changing. It's a very exciting field to be working in at the moment.
Is there in fact, I'll take this bit out if you need to, but is there any, because it sounds like Blackburn Darwin is truly a digital organisation, but is there anyone that have there been laggards? Have there been laggards within the organisation? Have there been has there been services that have been more difficult to bring along on the journey? And has there been any particular reason? If anyone else is thinking of trying to replicate what you're doing, has there been that harder to reach group of people internally and I guess externally as well?
It's difficult to answer that one, if I'm honest with you, Nick. There's always, early adopters, and there's also slow adopters as well. And it's about how you communicate and how you run that project and how you run, the whole transformation journey, and the work that Joe's team's now doing in engaging with service areas, letting them know what we're trying to achieve and the benefits that come with it. That's slowly. That message is sinking in, and people are much more responsive to change now, and see the necessity of it.
I think I could probably answer that.
Yeah, go for it, Joe.
Over the years, we've definitely had a lot of resistance, and going back to before COVID, just before Paul started, the transformation team that I worked on, we used to go out to areas and do digital reviews. And there were lots of things that people had to change, and some of them were happy to do it, but there were a lot more resistance than there was willingness, definitely. And now we go back to people during the pandemic and post-pandemic, and we are saying, this is what you need to do, and they're saying, can we do this? And I'm saying, I did talk to you about this a few years ago, and they now realise that it is the place to go. And we have people banging our door down. We have so much work on, and so much work for the next, however, 18 months or so, because people they want it and they need it, and they now realise that they can do it, and that's only been brought about because of because of COVID, but it has been a massive advantage to us.
Does that pose a problem for you then? When you're trying to sort of prioritize it, if you've got, because I've heard other authorities talk about this, especially when you talk about things like low code, and all of a sudden you've got a team of citizen developers that can deliver at pace and delivering minimum viable products and that sort of thing. With all this sort of interest now, is that? I guess it's a nice problem to have, but how do you? All these people coming to you saying, we want this, we want that, we wanted it yesterday. How do you deal with that?
We do prioritise things, and we have a scoring system. So if somebody comes to us, we prioritise based on scores, and we score on 4 things, and that's customer experience, return on investment, volumes. So it might be that one process is used it's available, like a bin. We have 64,000 addresses that would use that, but they might not necessarily use it. So, and then also if resources, so how much resource it will save. So they're the things that we score on, and we're just actually building the business case for the next financial year. We're looking at going out to every area of the business, and we're doing little workshops with them to say, what's your digital front door like? What do you need from the digital team? What have you got that we can either digitalise end to end, or what do you need to go on our digital customer portal? We're gathering all those requirements, and then we'll sit down and do some work scoring them, and then we'll put that into our business case for next year. And we want to touch on areas that we don't necessarily have that much contact with at the moment, like adults and children's. So
yeah, that's excellent. That's probably something that's probably a scoring system that quite a lot of people could probably find very, very useful, I think, in this current climate. What else was going to ask you? Ross, just quickly, I've got one more, and then I'm going to ask you both a question. But someone has asked about, in your particular piece, someone has asked, do you offer the SMS hyperlink or send it wherever it is recognised a call is coming from a mobile?
Yeah, so it's what in the Netcall platform, we use what are called logic blocks. So we're identifying the customer's CLI, so whether they're calling in from a landline or a mobile, and we only offer to send an SMS if they're calling in from a mobile. So it recognises that. If they're calling in from a landline, it bypasses that. But we do offer them the option, if they do want to receive an SMS, to key in their mobile number, and we can send that to them as well. So the SMS itself will just have a little instruction to say, here's a link to how you can do, how you can report a missed bin, and it's got a hyperlink to the page on our website where they can actually do that transaction themselves.
Excellent, thank you. And if Joe, so if we can get you back on the camera now as well, because it's a question for both of you really. How do you both convert? How often do you converge then? I mean, do you work in the same? Are you based in the same building? Well, you're not anymore, obviously, but how does that sort of partnership working between the digital team and I'm going to call you the citizen experience team? Because I mean, I guess some people would almost say you're almost the same team. You're very much there is a convergence. You're not the same team, but there's quite a big convergence. So how do you manage and how do you work together?
Yeah, I mean, we are part of the same directorate, so we are part of digital and customer services, which comes under Paul. So we are separate sections within it, but customer services are very much involved in the digital customer platform project. Dependent on what services we're looking at, advisors are involved in the user research. Supervisors, management are involved in the design decisions. I sit on the digital board along with Joe and other people that are on this call as well. So yeah, it is very much a collaborative working space. Things like Netcall, we are, Joe's team all have access to the full platform. They can analyze, they can pull data out of it, but it's also now going into our Power BI dashboards. So yeah, data is freely available, so we don't need to have that conversation about that. Joe and her team are very experienced in using that platform and know where to find stuff.
I think it helps that not 50% of my team are from customer services originally.
Oh, right, brilliant.
That massively helps because they understand that customer element of it all massively, and that helps a lot. They're not afraid to get into the nitty-gritty of that part.
Brilliant, excellent. Well, we've slightly overrun, but when there's value being derived from speaking to you guys, nobody seems to mind about that. Is that a Peloton in the background I see there? I see. A bit of advertising fun. No, do you know what, guys? That's been absolutely fantastic. You just have to look at the comments. It's been has been. There's so much information and detail there for people to be able to benefit from and to, I guess, try and replicate. So I don't know if does anyone have any further before we shut up the virtual shop, as it were? Does anyone have any further questions or observations? Would anyone like to put up their hand and ask Ross or Joe? I think Richard's disappeared and Paul's disappeared. So do you have any more questions for Joe or Ross before I call time on this wonderful session? No, I think you've all got as much information as you need. There's probably more information than you need, to be fair. Right, I would like if you could all use your reactions to give Ross and Joe a round of applause. That has been absolutely brilliant. Thanks to Paul Fleming and thank you to Richard Farrell as well. They both disappeared. Also, thank you to the other Blackburn with Darwin attendees who have been busily responding to questions in the chat and also posting up interesting and useful links to blogs and that sort of thing. Thank you to you guys. This has been it's been one of the best online sessions I think I've run, and I've run quite a few over the last 18 months. So Ross, Joanne, thank you very much indeed. Have a great day. I'm just trying to remember what day it is. It's Tuesday. It feels like a sort of session actually that we should have finished a Friday afternoon with, and we should all go to the pub and celebrate. What a brilliant week we've had. However, it's only Tuesday afternoon. So, well, yes, Tuesday afternoon just gone. So I know I keep saying it, but thanks once again to friends from Blackburn with Darwin. I'll get this video and the transcript and a lot of the posting of the answers to questions and the blog links and the links to the various podcasts and all the other wonderful stuff that has been produced by the home of Holland's Pies, otherwise known as Blackburn with Darwin. Thanks very much to all of you for attending, and to the people that have stayed till the end, the bitter end. Have a great day, great week, and I look forward to catching up with you, hopefully in person at some point next year, but definitely virtual very, very soon. So I'm about to end this. So if you want to switch your mics on and say goodbye, or cameras, you feel free to do so.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers, Mike.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Have a good day. Take care.
Thanks,
Cheers, Jenny.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Cheers, Ross. Cheers, Joe. Thanks very much indeed. We're about to end the session now.